Don't you just love a gaming bargain? I do, especially if they are underrated beauties which you've either never played, never heard of, or perhaps just forgotten had existed. Either way, I feel all of the games I'm spotlighting today deserve a little more love in 2024. So I've scoured the internet and curated for you a selection of amazing games that are not only all fantastic, but all for under $10. After all, what's better than experiencing some of the best games around and saving money simultaneously? These titles are all brilliant, yet I can get them for you for next to nothing. Sit back and keep your eyes peeled as you might spot something you fancy purchasing right now. These are 15 must-have underrated games for less than $10.
You know, you've been a little out of it lately. Is everything all right?
Oh, sorry.
A lot of people are moaning at present that female characters in modern video games are getting progressively uglier and less appealing. But this game, Catherine, certainly doesn't suffer from that problem. But here's the really great part. There's more to this gorgeous game than a mere fapfest. Catherine is far from your typical romance story. It's more of an intense cheating and dealing with the consequences simulator, a theme not often explored in the escapist world of gaming. Originally released in 2012, this unique game, developed by the creators of the Persona series, offers an innovative blend of puzzle mechanics, platforming and visual novel elements, all tied together with a psychological horror theme. When I first played this game, I'd never played anything like it, and I have never played anything like it since. As mentioned, the game takes the unusual approach of exploring the anxiety some people face when deciding whether to commit to a partner or not. This story centres on Vincent, a man in his 30s who must choose between marrying his long-term girlfriend Catherine with a K or pursuing the alluring blonde he just woke up next to, named Catherine with a C. The stakes feel high and morally ambiguous, and making the wrong choice could lead to deadly consequences. This results in Vincent's internal struggles and fears manifesting in surreal nightmares, where he must climb a series of block towers to survive. Players navigate Vincent's nightmares by moving and manipulating these blocks to reach the top of each tower before time runs out. The gameplay is intensified further with the inclusion of decision making and dialogue options that influence the story's outcome. Catherine masterfully combines this deep puzzle solving with a rich, interesting narrative on par with Atlus's more famous Persona games. The original Catherine received a critical acclaim for its innovative blend of gameplay and mature themes. I first experienced this game on the Xbox 360, and I can't emphasize how different this game felt from any of the other titles in the American platform's library. While most people were harping on about Gears of War and Halo for the platform, I was appreciating this underrated gem. Fortunately for you, this same game can be currently enjoyed on modern hardware, and by using my affiliate link, you can get a whopping 74% off the normal price, pushing it down to a measly $5.59. A gorgeous game for a perverse price. What a beautiful game. The Messenger, released in 2018, is an action platformer unlike any other. Developed by Sabotage Studio and published by Devolver Digital, players take on the role of a young ninja chosen by a legendary hero to deliver a critical scroll to save his clan. However, this impressive retro-themed game is far more ambitious than the simple Ninja Gaiden clone that it may appear as on the surface. As players navigate through the challenging stages of this game and defeat various enemies, they collect a currency known as time shards. These shards can be used to unlock a variety of upgrades and abilities, enhancing the ninja's skills and survivability. But here's the crazy part that sets this title apart. While the game starts as a linear adventure, it's infused with ambitious time travel elements that make this experience memorable. What's really cool about this is that when time traveling, the audio and visual presentation dynamically shifts from an 8-bit style to a 16-bit style, symbolising the ninja's transition from the past to the future. This interesting mechanic not only enriches the narrative, but also influences gameplay and puzzle solving itself. As the game progresses, the game consists of more than just side-scrolling platforming too, as The Messenger evolves into a Metroidvania-style experience. Players revisit earlier levels with newly acquired abilities to uncover hidden items and secrets, adding depth and replayability to this underrated romp. The blend of classic and modern gameplay elements, along with its engaging story and retro-inspired aesthetics, makes The Messenger a standout title that is essential that you check out. With an even bigger discount than Catherine, my affiliate link grants you 82% off this one, pushing the price down to a ludicrous $3.80. You can't even get a dozen eggs for that, so why not give it a crack? That was an excellent pun. At the third game in this video, I felt it was about time to insert a bit of controversy, as I'm going to attempt to justify to you why Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII is secretly one of the best ones. No wait, don't leave. I'm deadly serious. I genuinely feel that this game is one of the most underrated and underappreciated of an entire console generation. While many of the old school Final Fantasy games consist of a single numerical entry, the often maligned Final Fantasy XIII got an entire whole damn trilogy and side games too. Insane considering how little love 13 gets compared to nearly every other entry in the series. I feel the first game in the series was often unfairly criticised and mocked for being a so-called corridor simulator, despite progression largely being the same as the critically acclaimed and now beloved Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy XIII was far from a perfect game, but it was still a decent and ambitious title that gets unfairly bashed due to its perceived flaws. This meant that obviously fewer people played its sequel, and even fewer played the largely forgotten third game in the trilogy. In my opinion, this is tragic as, regardless of your opinions of the original 13 game, Lightning Returns is mechanically nothing like it. Taking the corridor simulator feedback rather personally, Square Enix would ensure that Lightning Returns delivered the polar opposite style of progression in the game, introducing a brand new open world to explore along with completely non-linear progression to get to the end of the game, making this drastically different and more experimental than any other mainline Final Fantasy game. Set 500 years after the events of Final Fantasy XIII-2, Lightning Returns centres on Lightning, the protagonist from the original game. Awakening from a self-imposed hibernation just 13 days before the apocalypse, she is chosen by the deity Benevalza to save the world from destruction. Lightning must rescue the inhabitants of her world, including her former friends and allies who now bear heavy emotional burdens. Throughout her journey, she unravels the full truth behind the world's impending doom and what's really going on in her dying reality. In its open world structure, players can explore 4 distinct regions, each offering unique quests, environments and challenges. However, here's the part that would instantly scare off a lot of players off this game or intimidate them away from this adventure just mere hours into a playthrough. Just like Majora's Mask, a significant gameplay mechanic is the in-game clock, requiring players to manage their time efficiently as the world ends in 13 days. Completing main quests, side quests and defeating enemies extends the world's remaining time. However, completing a sprawling JRPG under time constraints was enough to lead many to not even bother to give this game a chance. As someone who eventually persevered with this game, albeit admittedly nearly a decade after I tried playing it the first time, the game's time mechanics aren't even as close to constraining as one might have imagined, and I easily beat the title with plenty of time remaining. In fact, the time management mechanics didn't hinder the gameplay at all, with it often being fun trying to see how many quests you could get through in a single day. What's worth noting is that even if you do somehow colossally screw up, you just go back to the game's first day again with all of your character's strength progression intact so that you can plough through events a second time with much faster speed. What I'm basically trying to tell you is that if you like JRPGs, especially ones with a twist, then you really do need to give this game a chance. I think it's seriously underrated. Of course, what's better doing so isn't going to set you back as much, as I can get you 63% off, reducing the cost down to a lowly $6.36. Absolutely nothing for such an expansive game. Ghost of a Tale is a game that is certainly divergent from at least 95% of other popular titles out there. While in most games a heavy reliance on some sort of violence must be enacted in order to have fun, in this one you play as a literal mouse, as you must avoid dangerous predators to survive rather than take on threats head on like the majority of boneheads we usually get to play as in video games. If you're intrigued by the look of Winterborough during the Xbox presentation but didn't want to wait for its release, Ghost of a Tale could be the perfect interim choice. Created by a former DreamWorks and Universal Studios animator, this beautifully crafted game is certainly different from the generic worlds of modern AAA gaming. Set in a richly decorated medieval fantasy world inhabited by anthropomorphic animals, Ghost of a Tale follows Tilo, a small mouse minstrel, on a quest to find his true love. The narrative unfolds in the ancient and treacherous keep, where Tilo must use stealth, exploration and wit to avoid danger, solve puzzles and uncover the secrets of the castle. As a minstrel, Tilo is not a warrior, so he relies on stealth, agility and disguises to evade enemies rather than engaging in any form of combat. Playing as this resourceful mouse, you can use different costumes to blend in or gain access to restricted areas, relying on brain over brawn. The game features intricate puzzles and exploration elements, requiring you to navigate the complex layout of the Dwindling Heights keep, find keys, unlock doors, and discover hidden passages. Often praised for its beautiful handcrafted visuals and atmospheric music, I personally don't feel this game gets talked about enough and deem it underrated. The attention to detail in the character designs and environments greatly enhances the immersive experience, resulting in something unique. If you like the look of this game, it's currently available for $3.07. At 85% off, that's less than a meal at McDonald's. You can find the link to it in the description and pinned comment. If a Game Boy Advance was one of your gaming devices or choices back in the day, then seeing this title known as Into the Breach might instantly conjure up memories of the beloved Advance Wars. However, here is the even cooler part. Into the Breach offers more than that. While the similarities with the Intelligent System Classic are clearly there, upon closer inspection the differences quickly become clear. Unlike the large-scale battles in Advance Wars that can extend for hours and involve a variety of unit types with a focus on capturing buildings and resource management, Into the Breach centres on smaller scale and much more tactical skirmishes. Players command a limited number of mechs, with a significant emphasis on positioning and environmental interaction, resulting in intense battles that are fun but also require thought. With influence also clearly being drawn from the Front Mission series, the game is set in a distant future where humanity is under siege by giant monsters known as the Vek. Players control soldiers piloting advanced customizable mechs. These mechs can be equipped with a variety of weapons, armor and other equipment to adapt to different combat scenarios. The game employs a strategic turn-based combat system where players must anticipate and respond to enemy moves. Each turn reveals the Vek's planned actions, allowing players to coordinate their team's maneuvers and counterattack strategically. In order to get good at this game, one must master the art of tactical decision making. This is key to being able to protect humanity and triumph in this ever-evolving battle against monstrous invaders. The game won several awards, including the Best Strategy Game at the Game Awards 2018. It was also nominated for numerous other awards, recognising its design, gameplay mechanics and overall contribution to into this strategy genre. If you like the look of the game, it currently has 70% off the price, leaving it at a cool $4.77. Link in the description. Castlevania is one of those classic timeless series which will forever receive heaps of praise for its contributions to gaming. However, when it comes to nostalgic fondness being piled on this series is usually for the 8-bit games, the 16-bit entries and the 2D Metroidvania style titles. Castlevania Lord of Shadows, on the other hand, is widely overlooked these days. Released back in the 360 and PlayStation 3 era, Lords of Shadow is an action-adventure game developed by Mercury Steam and Kojima Productions. In this title, which Konami published in 2010, players get to experience a complete reimagining of Castlevania gameplay. Serving as somewhat of a reboot to the Castlevania games that everyone knows and loves, Lords of Shadows offers a fresh take on the franchise's story and gameplay mechanics and delivers a fun and atmospheric title in the process. Set in Southern Europe during the Middle Ages, the story follows Gabriel Belmont, a member of the Brotherhood of Light, an elite group of holy knights. Gabriel embarks on a quest to defeat the titular Lords of Shadow and assemble the God Mask, an artifact believed to have the power to resurrect his murdered wife, Marie. His journey takes him through various locations facing mythical creatures and dark forces. Much like God of War or to some degree Bayonetta, Lord of Shadows features a third-person perspective emphasising combat, exploration and puzzle solving. Gabriel wields the Combat Cross, a weapon that functions similarly to a whip. Players can perform a variety of attacks and combos and use secondary weapons like knives and holy water. While largely ignored today, a few generations ago Lords of Shadow received generally positive reviews from critics and players, with it feeling like the future of the Castlevania series was fairly bright at the time. Over the decades, quite a few 3D Castlevania games have been created. However, Lord of Shadows is by far the very best of the bunch. In terms of the franchise's overall legacy, the game is somewhat underrated. However, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one too. You can get 87% off Lord of Shadows and add it to your collection for just $3.54. With offers like that, it's certainly not a horrible night to have a curse. Slay the Spire, developed by Megacrit and officially launched in January 2019, has captivated gamers with its ingenious fusion of roguelike challenges and deck-building strategy. In this critically acclaimed game, players choose from one of 4 unique characters and embark on a perilous journey to ascend a procedurally generated spire, teeming with enemies and formidable bosses. The heart of the gameplay lies in its innovative card-based combat system. Players start with a basic deck representing a mix of attacks, skills and powers. As they progress, they collect new cards, eliminate weaker ones and upgrade existing cards to craft a powerful and cohesive deck. This dynamic deck building element requires keen strategy and adaptability to conquer the increasingly difficult floors of the Spire. Slay the Spire is renowned for its distinctive hand-drawn art style, featuring unique character designs and vibrant animations that bring the game to life. The visual aesthetic perfectly complements the game's tone, enhancing the immersive player experience and making each ascent feel fresh and engaging. With its perfect blend of strategic depth, replayability and artistic charm, Slay the Spire offers up an addictive gaming experience that, although underrated by the mainstream, has earned a devoted following, inspiring numerous games in its wake. It has received overwhelmingly positive scores on Steam, and since you have played your cards right and chosen to watch this video, it can be yours for 71% less than most people pay, knocking down the price to just $7.26. As you can see from the footage, Katana Zero is a slick neo-noir action platformer developed by ASCIIsoft and published by Devolver Digital. This 2019 title was characterized by its fast-paced, side-scrolling action where players control a samurai assassin known as the Dragon, who wields a katana and can manipulate time. Sharing commonalities with The Messenger we covered earlier, this game differs in the fact that it blends psychological thriller elements with a cyberpunk setting. This challenging at times game features one-hit kill mechanics for both the player and enemies, emphasising precise and strategic gameplay that doesn't take any prisoners. Taking a leaf out of Beautiful Joe's playbook, which in itself was inspired by The Matrix, players can slow down time to dodge bullets and execute complex manoeuvres, adding a further strategic layer to the combat. Levels are designed to be interactive, allowing players to use environmental objects to their advantage, resulting in a title which is far more than just your standard platformer. While primarily an action-orientated title being ninja-themed, Katana Zero also incorporates stealth elements requiring players to plan attacks often and avoid detection. The game is highly praised for its engaging narrative, tight controls, and distinctive pixel art and soundtrack. Reception for this game has been overwhelmingly positive, receiving 83% on Metacritic and labelled as overwhelmingly positive on Steam. This game can be yours for just $6.85, 60% cheaper than buying it directly through Steam. Much like the Final Fantasy XIII trilogy which we discussed earlier, Final Fantasy Type 0 is an underappreciated title. In fact, I'd say that is somewhat of an understatement considering how so many people seem to have ignored this game's existence altogether. This is likely due to the fact that it technically isn't a mainline entry in the series, and it departs from the traditional turn-based mechanics before Final Fantasy XV essentially made this the norm. To compound its relative obscurity compared to most Final Fantasy games further, it was probably not aided by the fact that originally in Japan, this was marketed as another Final Fantasy XIII game, with mythos commonalities being involved, such as the inclusion of fal'Cie and Sieves. As for the gameplay itself, Final Fantasy Type 0 is an action role-playing game developed and published by Square Enix, with in the past it being released for the PlayStation Portable. However, subsequent HD releases have seen it become readily available for modern hardware. Now, it's widely accepted that the Final Fantasy series is about more than just turn-based gameplay. As time has passed, more players think it's worth revisiting this game with fresh eyes to appreciate its brilliance. In this underrated adventure, the story revolves around a brutal war between four nations, with the main focus on Class Zero, an elite group of 14 students from a magical academy. These students possess unique abilities and are tasked with defending their nation. The game features real-time combat with action-orientated mechanics, with players controlling members of Class Zero, switching between them during missions and utilising their unique skills and weapons. The structure is mission-based, with players undertaking various objectives, including direct combat, rescuing allies, and strategic tasks. Mechanically, this game has a fair amount in common with Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, with many considering this title its spiritual sequel since it features similar mechanics and had the same director at the helm. Considering that Crisis Core has experienced a resurgence in popularity and relevance recently, don't you think Type 0 deserves that privilege too? The game is currently available with a 65% discount, leaving it at currently $9.38. Not bad for a huge modernish Final Fantasy adventure that the majority of the world missed. Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden is a stylish turn-based tactical role-playing game that you've likely never played. In this game that seamlessly blends strategic combat with real-time exploration, all action is viewed and experienced from a visually pleasing isometric perspective. Set in a post-apocalyptic world devastated by nuclear war, climate change and a pandemic, the game centres on the remaining survivors known as mutants, so humanoids with various animal traits. Essentially, think the cast of the Ninja Turtles show but with more weapons and explosives. These mutants, including characters like Bormin, Dux and Selma, strive to understand their shattered world while scavenging for vital resources. Tasked with exploring a perilous area known as The Zone, they embark on a quest to find a mythical sanctuary called Eden. The game has an eerie feeling to it, where it combines realism with a dark and gritty aesthetic and effectively conveys the bleakness of the post-apocalyptic setting with richly detailed environments that tell their own stories through ruins, overgrown vegetation and decaying structures. Overall, the visual and audio design of Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden work in harmony to create something quite special and vastly different from any other title featured in this video today. This fantastic experience currently has 81% off the price, leaving it at a mere $8.96. Wah, very nice. While it is often easy to refer to games as a work of art, Gris offers a beautiful, breathtaking and uniquely different experience compared to most other games. In this visually stunning title, the story centres on the titular character Gris, who awakens in the palm of a crumbling statue of a woman. As she tries to sing, the statue's hands disintegrate, causing her to fall to the colourless earth below. Playing as Gris and pressing forward, players encounter a series of enigmatic structures powered by mysterious points of light that resemble stars. By collecting these lights, Gris acquires new abilities which make this adventure all the more imaginative, such as being able to transform into a heavy block of stone or creating new pathways made of constellations. Now, here's what makes Gris all the more poignant. The narrative is a symbolic journey through the stages of grief, where each stage representing different emotional states, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. The game communicates these themes through its use of colours and visuals, offering innovative storytelling techniques that are far more creative than simply relying on text or dialogue, the likes of which are almost entirely absent in the game. Gris is renowned for its gorgeous hand-drawn art style. The visuals are intricate, colourful and evocative, creating an immersive experience that captivates all who lays eyes on it. Pair all of this with the fluid animation that is on offer, this further enhances the game's emotional impact, with the soundtrack playing a crucial role in conveying the game's mood, making it an integral part of the overall experience. The game has received widespread acclaim for its art direction, music and emotional depth. Critics and players alike have praised Gris as a true work of art, celebrating its ability to blend visual and auditory elements into a powerful and moving experience. Currently, you can immerse yourself in this experience with an 83% discount, leaving the price at just $2.69. Sleeping Dogs is another, in my opinion, controversial inclusion of mine, considering that back in the day, tons of people played this one and absolutely adored it. However, while this is the case, I think the sad truth is that many people are beginning to forget about this classic, as you rarely hear anyone talking about it anymore, let alone clamouring for a Sleeping Dogs 2. I personally think this action-adventure game, developed by United Front Games and published by Square Enix, was absolutely fantastic and offered up great GTA-like experiences set away from the West for a change. First released in 2012, the game is set in a meticulously crafted open-world environment that takes place in a fictionalized version of Hong Kong. The narrative follows Wei Shen, an undercover Chinese-American police officer, as he infiltrates and attempts to dismantle the notorious notorious triad organisation, the Sun On Yee. The game offers players a vibrant, living city to explore featuring diverse districts of Hong Kong. Players can immerse themselves in the local culture and urban life while engaging in various side missions. As I said, think of it as a Grand Theft Auto-like game with a touch of Assassin's Creed-like parkour thrown in for good measure too. The game is atmospheric and great fun. Renowned for its hand-to-hand combat system, which is heavily influenced by martial arts, the combat mechanics allow players to perform an array of moves, counters and environmental attacks, providing a dynamic and engaging fighting experience. In addition to the combat, unsurprising given its GTA influence, Sleeping Dogs also boasts a robust driving system. Players can participate in high-speed chases, races and vehicular combat, enhancing the overall excitement and variety of gameplay. Beyond the main story missions, Sleeping Dogs offers numerous side activities. Players can take part in street races, cockfights, gambling and karaoke, and hunt for collectibles scattered throughout the city, ensuring there is always something to do in this exciting, highly immersive world. The game received positive reviews from both critics and players, who praise its engaging story, detailed open world design and dynamic combat system. Critics have frequently highlighted the game's success in capturing the essence of Hong Kong's culture and seamlessly integrating various gameplay elements. In a world absolutely obsessed with the fact that GTA 6 will one day be released, why not in the meantime go back and play one of the greatest GTA-like games ever? While most are clamouring for GTA 6, personally I'd be just as happy with a Sleeping Dogs 2. While it feels like such a game will never exist, at least you can currently re-experience Sleeping Dogs on modern hardware with an astounding 81% off the price. This means you can get it with my link for just $4.09. Even the triads would be happy with a steal like that.
James, please.
Stories Untold is an episodic horror adventure puzzle video game developed by No Code and published by Devolver Digital, initially released in February 2017. The game uniquely blends various adventure genres, including text-based adventure, first-person exploration and puzzle solving, all themed around 1980s technology. Its narrative-driven approach and atmospheric design deliver a distinct and immersive experience, with some real nods to super nerddom, such as the inclusion in-game of what seems to be a ZX Spectrum Plus 2. The game is divided into 4 episodes, each with its own distinct setting and story, but interconnected by overarching themes and narratives. These include The House Abandoned, which focuses on a seemingly simple text adventure game within the game, which gradually takes a dark and unsettling turn. The Lab Conduct, which is set in a mysterious laboratory involving scientific experiments and incorporates more complex puzzles and narrative elements. The Station Process, which places the player in a remote outpost dealing with radio communications and deciphering signals. And finally, The Last Session, which ties together the previous stories, revealing deeper connections and thematic elements. Stories Untold received positive reviews for its innovative approach to storytelling, unique gameplay mechanics, and atmospheric design. Critics and players alike appreciated its ability to blend various genres and deliver a memorable and haunting experience. The game delivers something quite different from most, but what's most crazy is that you can get a whole 90% off the price of this game, meaning it's a complete bargain at only $1.07. The phrase, "I'd buy that for $1" has never been more appropriate. Moonlighter is an action RPG with roguelite elements that masterfully portrays two sides of the coin: the daily life of Will, an adventurous shopkeeper who secretly dreams of becoming a hero. Developed by Digital Sun and published by 11-Bit Studios, this 2018 release uniquely combines shopkeeping and dungeon crawling engagingly and innovatively. Set in the charming village of Rhinoka, Moonlighter invites players to manage their shop by day and explore dangerous dungeons by night, creating a captivating blend of strategic management and thrilling action. The game offers a refreshing mix of strategy and action through its unique combination of shopkeeping and dungeon crawling gameplay. Players are tasked with managing a shop during the day and exploring procedurally generated dungeons by night. The charming pixel art style, reminiscent of classic games like The Legend of Zelda, coupled with a compelling hero's journey narrative, creates an immersive experience. Additionally, the balance of economic strategy and fast-paced combat appeals to a wide range of players, making Moonlighter both captivating and enjoyable. Moonlighter received generally positive reviews for its charming graphics, engaging gameplay loop, and the unique combination of shopkeeping and dungeon crawling. Critics praise its art style and the balance between the two gameplay aspects. It offers a refreshing twist on the action RPG genre, appealing to players who enjoy both strategic management and fast-paced combat. Currently, there's a 91% off this game, leaving it at just $2.25. Another game available at a ludicrously low price. The Mega Man franchise itself is by no means underrated. However, I feel the further we move away from the NES originals, the more people passed up on the goodness that some of these games offered. Arguably, in typical Capcom fashion, the Mega Man brand was huge back in the day, leading to the company developing countless entries in the series and a ludicrous amount of spin-offs. While a huge number of people played the NES original and a larger number of people played the superior Mega Man X series that began development in the 16-bit era, many would be suffering from Mega Man fatigue by the time Mega Man Zero and ZX series were released. This is a crying shame, as both are excellent and, in my opinion at least, I think they have aged better than the 8-bit originals. Fortunately for those who missed out on all of these games, we would get the Mega Man Zero ZX Legacy Collection, a compilation of action platformer games developed by Inti Creates and published by Capcom. Released in February 2020, this collection brings together 6 titles from the Mega Man Zero and Mega Man ZX series, titles that were originally released on the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS. As for these 2 spin-off series, the Mega Man Zero series follows Zero, a legendary Reploid who awakens from a long hibernation to combat the oppressive regime of Neo Arcadia. The series is acclaimed for its challenging gameplay, detailed pixel art, and mature storyline. Players control Zero using a variety of weapons, including the Z-Saber and Buster Shot, and can collect Cyber Elves that provide strategic benefits. The Mega Man Zero series Legacy is marked by its deep narrative and engaging characters, culminating in its epic re-release. In contrast, the Mega Man ZX series transitions to a new timeline where humans and Reploids coexist but face new threats. The narrative is rich and layered, exploring themes of identity, rebellion, and survival. Set 200 years after the Mega Man Zero series, players navigate interconnected areas in a Metroidvania style, accepting missions to progress the story and defeat Maverick bosses. The primary gameplay feature is the use of biometals, which provide various transformations, each with unique powers and abilities. The Mega Man Zero ZX Legacy Collection has been acclaimed for faithfully preserving the essence of the original games, while incorporating modern enhancements to make them more accessible to new players. It's absolutely unbelievable to me that you can get 80% off this collection of amazing, underrated classics, reducing the price down to $6.29. That's just over $1 per Mega Man game. Absolute madness. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this cost-saving episode, and I hope you managed to spot some bargains to your taste. There are thousands more games you can find using my affiliate link, and every game purchased supports the channel and aids me in making fun content like this for you to enjoy. If you have any recommendations for great games currently at awesome prices, help us all out by posting them in the comment section down below. I hope you all had fun today watching, and I'll see you all again in the next video.